Stephen A., LeBron is a Laker. The floor is yours. Go.
Well, first of all, I'm ecstatic. I think it was the right situation, the right call for him to make. He wasn't going to get anything accomplished in Cleveland. That was obvious. Philadelphia, it just wasn't a good fit for him to be paired with Ben Simmons, not to mention the fact that, in terms of their playing style and the locale as well, going from Cleveland to Philadelphia, just didn't make much sense. But the big thing is that you got to give kudos to Magic Johnson. LeBron James came into town last night at midnight, East Coast time, 9 p.m. West Coast time. They were free to talk to folks. Magic Johnson snuck away from the media, met with LeBron James at his home last night at 9:01 p.m. West Coast time.
Wow.
They stayed there for 3 hours. They talked back and forth with one another about what the goals were. LeBron James understands that this, as of yet, is not a championship team, which is why the 4 years, $154 million contract is fully guaranteed. There is no opt-out as far as I know. I have been told it is not an opt-out. It's LeBron James committing to the full 4 years in Los Angeles, just like he committed to the full 4 years in Miami. That is the situation right now. They recognize the fact that they're building something. LeBron James and Magic Johnson, again, met last night at 9:01 p.m. Pacific time. They met face-to-face. They talked for 3 hours. And more importantly than that, in the 16 years that LeBron and Magic Johnson had known one another, they never sat down face-to-face.
Wow.
Until last night.
Unbelievable information from our StephenA.Smith. Magic on the doorstep right when he had to be, and then a talk for the ages and a move for the ages. I know this is going to be received differently in very many quarters. I think we obviously know what the reaction is going to be in Los Angeles. If you're a Cavs fan watching SportsCenter tonight, and Stephen A's on talking about it, after 2 runs, a title for the first time in a half-century, brought it home, everything he's done for the community. You're a Cavs fan right now watching. What do you say to them?
Well, first of all, you be grateful that you had him for the 11 years that you had him, the first 7 years of his career, and then 4 years after he had spent 4 years in South Beach. He did have to come back, but he fulfilled a promise that he had made to the locals. He grew up in Akron, Ohio, just 45 minutes up the road. He came home to Cleveland, Ohio. He came back to Cleveland, Ohio, specifically to deliver on a promise that he had made to that city, that franchise, and Cavs fans everywhere to erase a curse that had spanned more than a half-century. He fulfilled that promise inside of 2 years, stayed an additional 2 years, took you to the NBA Finals each and every single year he was in Cleveland. And by the way, he did a tremendous amount for the economy. Hundreds of millions of dollars have been poured in to the Cleveland, Ohio community because LeBron James existed there. So when you look at what he has done, his pros far, far, far outweigh any cons that might be associated with his, his exit. And that's what you have to be grateful for. You didn't have to have him for the last 4 years that you had him. You had him because he made a promise to you, and he was an honorable enough man to fulfill it. That's why you have no vitriol. You should have no vitriol towards him whatsoever.
No question about it. It reminds me of a piece, Stephen A., we ran on SportsCenter as we were waiting for this decision, where a gentleman that worked in between the queue and the baseball stadium for the Indians said, LeBron is my income. Wherever he goes, I follow. Things are going to change. What do you got?
I have an additional piece of information for you pertaining to LeBron and the Lakers, if you don't mind me saying so.
Of course, go ahead.
One of the other things that's going on is that R.C. Buford, the San Antonio Spurs, and the Los Angeles Lakers have been on the phone on already 2 occasions today, and they're expecting to communicate with one another a 3rd time this evening. From what I'm being told, San Antonio is asking for the house multiple draft picks along with the young players. The Lakers have made it very, very clear they're not giving up the farm. Kyle Kuzma is off limits. They're not willing to surrender him in order to get Kawhi Leonard. They're not willing to surrender 3 picks in order to get Kawhi Leonard. Their mentality is Kawhi Leonard says he wants to be a Laker, so whether it's this year or next summer, eventually he's going to be a Laker. You need to get something while you can. San Antonio is holding down the fort. They're being incredibly stubborn, which is their right and obviously smart on their part, and they want to make sure that they get as much as they can from Kawhi Leonard. The Lakers have not given up But if a deal isn't made by sometime, maybe tomorrow morning at the latest, then the Lakers will simply assume that this is not going to happen and they will move on.
How about that? So a little bit of a timetable there from Stephen A.Smith on what could happen with Kawhi Leonard. So let me ask you that. Let's just assume. Go ahead. What do you got? You got something else?
The other thing is that according to a couple of other executives, because of the personality of Kawhi Leonard and what transpired last season, they said to me, don't rule out the possibility of Kawhi Leonard sitting out next season before he's willing to come back to the San Antonio Spurs. That's how badly he wants out. That's how badly he wants to remain in L.A., and that is the situation. That is the news that I have.
Okay, I just want to have you react on that. That is beyond toxic and radioactive if you're telling me that's what's going on. What would you think if he employed that method?
Well, I will say this. If he employed that method, it would be highly unprofessional, incredibly unfair, and just trifling on the part of Kawhi Leonard. Now, again, these are what executives and league folks are saying. I did not hear this from Kawhi's camp. I did not hear this from Kawhi Leonard. So the point is, let's make sure we're clear about that.
Okay.
But in light of the fact that he was confronted by the San Antonio Spurs, and specifically Tony Parker, and that made him incredibly unhappy and feeling offended, combined with the fact that those feelings haven't necessarily been assuaged, and he's still insistent upon ending up in L.A. The basic message to me has been rule out nothing with Kawhi Leonard if San Antonio is not going to let him out of there. Anything is possible. They weren't saying he's going to do it. They're saying his temperament and his conviction towards ending up in L.A. to play with the Los Angeles Lakers is that strong that anything is possible right now in order for him to send the message that he wants to send. That is what I have been told.